So here we go with one of the most influential films ever made. I mean, seriously, by this point, anytime you see this, you know you're in for an awesome ride. Aliens is the monumental sequel to the 1979 horror classic Alien. So the Alien franchise is 40 years old this month. And while due to that, everyone's talking about the original Alien, which is great in its own right, I'm here today to talk about the amazing sequel to that, Aliens. While the original film is a horror masterpiece and always will be, there's been a debate raging for years about which one's better, Alien or Aliens. And while Alien is definitely great, I feel like a lot of people side with it just based on the fact that it is the original. Me, myself, while I love the original, I absolutely adore its sequel, Aliens. This was the movie that brought me into the franchise. I remember going to see it back in the day when it first came out in 1986. Damn, dude, you're old. And not having any idea what this whole Aliens thing was about. But by the time I left that theater, I was a lifelong fan. I love this movie. It is one of the best movies ever made. It may be a bit older, and some of you out there may not have ever even seen it, which really just blows my mind, by the way. While the original Alien focused more on horror and dread, this one, while still having those horror aspects to it, focuses much more on action and ratcheting up the tension to 11. When this movie's not showing action on screen, it's slowly turning that screw to tighten the tension for you every step of the way. Aliens introduced so many new things that have become staples to the series since then, such as the Colonial Marines and the absolutely terrifying Queen. All of these things and more being the brainchild of one of the greatest storytellers we have today, James Cameron. Heard he's a fucking nightmare to work for, but the guy can make an amazing movie. James Cameron is one of those filmmakers that actors want to work with and continue to. And many of those Cameron actors show up in this film, such as Sigourney Weaver, Michael Biehn, Lance Henriksen, Jeanette Goldstein, amongst many others. He's like Robert Rodriguez in that way that his movies always have a lot of the same actors. In my opinion, when actors continuously want to work with a successful director, that kind of says something about it. There's two versions of Aliens you can watch. The 1986 theatrical version and the 1990 special edition cut. The 1990 special edition adds about 15 to 17 extra minutes on, most of which being the Hadley's Hope scene showing what happened to this place before the Marines got there, a short scene about Ripley and her daughter Amanda, and a scene about halfway through about the automatic turrets that the Marines set up to try and keep the aliens out of the facility they're hiding in. There's a few other little lines of dialogue thrown in here or there, but the majority of it is those three scenes. Are these scenes needed? No. Are they wanted? Absolutely. The scenes ultimately give you a little bit more of what you already love so much about this story. I myself prefer the 1990 special edition. That's not to say the 86 version isn't great. It absolutely is. But I do like the bit of substance the 1990 cut adds to the overall story. As stated before, Aliens is much more action heavy than the original Alien. That's not to say it's balls to the wall action from beginning to end. It's not. It's got plenty of slower tension building moments. But when the action does happen, it is cranked up to fucking 11. The performances here are all great too. Most notably Sigourney Weaver, Paul Reiser, and Michael Biehn do a fantastic job here as the lead. But everybody involved does a wonderful job. Weaver brings a certain weight and sophistication to her character that we usually don't get in movies like this. You really do feel for her by the end of this movie. Hell, you feel for her in the beginning of the movie. While the performances are great, the characters themselves overall are developed amazingly. Once again, something we usually don't get a lot of in this genre. But with this, you end up rooting for the ones you're supposed to root for and hating the ones you're supposed to hate. It's masterfully crafted all around. And then there's the special effects. This was made in 1986, by the way, so one would understand if the special effects didn't age as well as we'd hope. Well, you would be wrong, because this movie's special effects are amazing even by today's standards. The vast majority of the effects in this movie are practical, and that is one of the reasons that they hold up so great. There is a little bit of blue screening here or there, but even that looks really damn good. The creature effects and the sets look absolutely fantastic here. The creatures themselves especially look the best they've ever looked. They are more believable and real in this movie than in any of the other movies in the franchise thus far. And that's saying something about a movie that's almost 35 years old and has entries in the franchise that just came out 2 years ago. They don't shy away from showing the creatures in this movie either. They don't ever show too much, but they do show the creatures a lot, but only at the times that it makes sense. Furthermore, they apparently only had about 5 to 7 creature costumes to work with when making the movie. But at any given time that they're on screen, it seems like there's hundreds of them. I think that believable camera trickery just really speaks to the masterful filmmaking that's going on here. Overall, the effects and the look of the film totally hold up. The sound design and score by James Horner are amazing here as well. The score is very distinct and gets your blood pumping when the action is ratcheted up and has you on the edge of your seat with tension during the more scary scenes. Supposedly, Horner only had about 2 weeks to compose this score, and he hadn't even seen the completed film by that point. So the fact that he came up with such a memorable, amazing score absolutely baffles me. This score is very unique, and you will absolutely never get it confused with anything else. Whenever hearing it, it immediately brings up the myriad of amazing scenes that this movie has to offer. Also, this movie changed the sci-fi action genre as a whole and has inspired countless movies, TV shows, books, and video games since its release. There are very few other films that you can see its footprint throughout the decades, but Aliens is definitely one of those. If you've never seen Aliens, upon watching it, you might say, hey, they got this from that movie, or they got that from this movie. But no, you'd be totally wrong. All those other movies and shows and games, they got all that from this movie. Everything from the automatic turrets, the dropship, the weapons, the colonial marines, the fucking power loader, to the overall design and attitude of the movie. You can see in other media throughout the decades since its inception. It is absolutely one of the most influential films ever made. It introduces the motion tracker, which is one of the most brilliant filmmaking, tension-building devices ever made. The movie does so much right that it's really hard to find much of anything that's wrong. Aliens is one of the most exciting movies ever made and has some of the best scenes in action movie history ever. Ripley and Newt sleeping with the facehugger, Ripley's rescue of the Marines about halfway through, their escape of LV-426, the end power loader queen battle, and so much more. This movie is jam-packed with amazing scenes. But it's not just the scenes alone. Everything in between is amazing too. The movie as a whole is just amazing. I mean, this is an alien movie that the alien doesn't even show up until an hour and 13 minutes in. And everything preceding that is still amazing. This movie has it all. It has a great, interesting, intriguing story. Amazing special effects all around. A great cast that are performing great characters. A score like no other, and it's just masterfully done all around. Aliens is one of the best movies ever made. And it is definitely in my top 10 movies of all time. I'll periodically come back to this movie. And what I usually come for are the amazing action scenes. But what keeps me there from beginning to end is the amazing execution. This movie's just that fucking good, man. If you haven't seen Aliens, absolutely go and get it right now, because it is without a doubt one of the best movies ever made. I don't even have a rating for this. I guess if it was in theaters, I'd say go see it in theaters. It's definitely worth a buy. I don't know, it's amazing. 10 out of 10, one of the best. Fucking unicorn. If you guys don't listen to anything else I say on my entire channel, listen to this. See Aliens ASAP. And it has such a great setup for a third film. But then Alien 3 comes along and fucks that all up. But that's for another day and another review. So there it is, guys, my review of Aliens, one of the best goddamn movies ever made. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a thumbs up. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Punch it, Bishop! This movie has so many great scenes that it's hard to just pick one, but it also has great lines in those scenes, like this one.
Get away from her, you bitch!
So fucking awesome. And if you've seen Aliens, you know I gotta end it with this.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.